Land acknowledgements. That's cool, isn't it? Is it cool? Is it a trend? Is it meaningful? What is a land acknowledgement actually? Providing a land acknowledgement at the beginning of an event or meeting involves thinking about what happened in the past and what changes can be made to further reconciliation between Indigenous peoples and settlers. When we provide a land acknowledgement, it's meant to be respectful and meaningful. To be respectful, it has to be meaningful first. Let's see beyond the words. Let's take time to listen and learn, and then let's do something about it. First off, let's deconstruct a land acknowledgement by asking a few questions, such as, what is Turtle Island? What is a treaty? And why do different cities or geographical areas have different land acknowledgements? For some Indigenous peoples, Turtle Island is the continent of North America. The name comes from various Indigenous stories of a turtle that holds the world on its back. For some, the turtle is considered a symbol of life and a marker of identity, culture, autonomy, and a deeply held respect for the environment. There are many versions of the story. In some Ojibwe traditions, the story of Turtle Island begins with the earth flooded with water. The Creator cleansed the world of feuding peoples in order to begin life all over again. Some animals survived the flood, such as the loon, the muskrat, and the turtle. A supernatural being, known as Nanabuzu, asked the animals to swim deep beneath the water to collect soil to recreate the world. But they all failed. The muskrat was the last to attempt and returned with muddy paws, but sadly the muskrat died. The muddy soil was then put on the turtle's back, and this became known as Turtle Island, the center of creation. Land acknowledgements will vary from community to community. That's why it's important to correctly acknowledge the names of living Indigenous peoples from these various communities and to understand the treaties at play and the history of that particular area. In Canada, Indigenous peoples may be referred to as First Nation, Métis, and Inuit, comprising 630 different communities such as the Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, Mississaugas, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Wendat peoples, and others, depending on the location of the territory. Treaties are also often referred to in land acknowledgements. There are a number of treaties between Indigenous groups and the Government of Canada. Some of these treaties are historic, entered into between 1701 and 1921. Others are more modern treaties, also known as Comprehensive Land Claim Agreements. For example, the Hamilton Land Acknowledgement makes reference to the Between the Lakes Purchase Treaty 1792 between the Crown and the Mississauga Nation to allow Indigenous and settler populations to coexist. This agreement is also known as Treaty No. 3, 1792, which covers Ontario urban centres that include Guelph, Hamilton, Burlington, London, St. Catharines, Woodstock, and Grimsby. Land acknowledgements may also refer to agreements between Indigenous groups to which settlers have been invited into. One example is the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant. This is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. The dish represents what is now southern Ontario, from the Great Lakes to Quebec, and from Lake Simcoe into the U.S. We all eat out of the dish, all of us that share this territory, with only one spoon. That means we have to share responsibility to ensure the dish is never empty, which includes taking care of the land and the creatures we share it with. When providing a land acknowledgement or reflecting on one, ask yourself these questions. How can I better understand the history of Indigenous people in Canada? And how do I plan to take action to support Indigenous communities? Don't leave the words there. Do something with them to better understand the discomfort of Indigenous people in the dispossession of their land. If we are going to say in a land acknowledgement that we want better relations, then we have to prove that we are taking the actions needed to build relationships and further reconciliation between Indigenous peoples and settlers. After all, actions will speak louder than words.